You've been sold a lie about how wealth is built. The internet shows you overnight success stories. Social media glorifies the 23-year-old with a Lamborghini. Every headline screams about the fastest path to millions. But that's not how wealth actually works. Real wealth is built in a way that nobody wants to talk about because it doesn't make for exciting content. It's not flashy, it's not fast, and it's definitely not what most people expect. The gap between you and the life you want isn't talent, luck, or connections. It's understanding the actual mechanics of how wealth gets built, and most people will go their entire lives without ever learning these mechanics because they're too busy chasing shortcuts that don't exist. You're about to learn how wealth is really built. Not the glamorous version, not the viral version, the real version that actually creates lasting financial freedom. This could change everything you thought you knew about money. Stay with me. Before we dive deeper, hit like and subscribe so you never miss our videos, and share this with someone who needs to see it. Let's start by destroying the myth. The internet has created a fantasy about wealth that has nothing to do with reality. You see the end result. You never see the process. You see the mansion, but not the 15 years of grinding in obscurity. You see the portfolio, but not the decades of boring, consistent investing. You see the successful business, but not the 3 failed businesses that came before it. Here's what this illusion costs you. When you believe wealth happens fast, you make decisions based on speed instead of sustainability. You chase hot opportunities instead of building lasting foundations. You get impatient with strategies that actually work because they don't deliver instant gratification. The people who actually build wealth understand something most don't. They understand that wealth is not an event. It's not a moment. It's not a breakthrough. Wealth is a process, and that process takes time. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you can start building for real instead of chasing mirages. Every person who has built lasting wealth will tell you the same thing. It wasn't one big break. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a secret strategy. It was showing up consistently over a long period of time, doing things that worked, avoiding things that didn't, and being patient enough to let time do its job. That's not a sexy story, but it's the true story. Real wealth is built in 3 distinct phases. Most people never make it past phase 1 because they don't understand what phase they're in or what the next phase requires. Let me break down each phase so you know exactly where you are. Phase 1 is the earning phase. This is where you trade your time and skills for money. Almost everyone starts here. Your job, your career, your freelance work. The goal in phase 1 is simple. Maximize the value you can extract from your time. Most people stay stuck in phase 1 their entire lives. They earn money, spend money, earn more, spend more. They never break the cycle because they never transition to phase 2. Phase 2 is the accumulation phase. This is where you take a portion of everything you earn and convert it into assets. Not stuff, assets. Things that grow in value or produce income without your direct involvement. The goal in phase 2 is to accumulate enough assets that they start generating meaningful returns. Here's where most people mess up the transition. They earn well in phase 1, but never accumulate in phase 2. Their lifestyle expands to match their income. They upgrade their car, their house, their vacations. By the time they realize they should have been accumulating, years have passed, and they have nothing to show for their earning. The bridge between phase 1 and phase 2 is the gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is everything. Without it, you can earn $1 million a year and still end up broke. With it, you can earn $50,000 a year and still build real wealth over time. Now, if you want a complete roadmap for navigating these 3 phases, I've built something specifically for that. The VYBO Wealth Blueprint gives you the exact framework for maximizing each phase, creating the gap between earning and spending, and transitioning from accumulation to true wealth. Check the link in the description if you're ready to build wealth the real way. Now let's continue with phase 3. Phase 3 is the wealth phase. This is when your accumulated assets generate enough income to cover your expenses without you working. This is financial freedom. This is true wealth. In phase 3, you're no longer trading time for money. Your assets do the work. Your investments generate returns. Your businesses run without you. Your real estate produces rent. You've escaped the time for money trap that keeps most people working until they physically can't anymore. Here's the part nobody tells you about phase 3. It takes longer than you want. Depending on your income, your savings rate, and your investment returns, reaching phase 3 typically takes 15 to 25 years of consistent execution. Not months, not a few years, decades. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. That's why it doesn't go viral. That's why it's not on the cover of magazines, but it's reality. And understanding this reality is what separates people who actually build wealth from people who spend their lives chasing fantasies. You've probably heard of compound interest, but most people drastically underestimate how powerful it is and how long it takes to really work. Compounding is deceptive because it feels like nothing is happening for years. You invest consistently. You check your account. The growth seems pathetically slow. You wonder if it's even worth the sacrifice. Then something magical happens. Around year 10 to 15, the curve starts bending upward noticeably. Around year 20, it goes nearly vertical. The returns in year 25 can exceed everything you earned in years 1 through 15 combined. This is why patience is the most valuable financial skill you can develop. Not analysis, not stock picking, not timing markets, patience. The ability to keep doing the boring right thing while everyone else chases excitement. The wealthy understand that time in the market beats timing the market. They understand that consistent investing over decades beats sporadic investing over years. They understand that the magic happens at the end, not the beginning. Most people quit before the magic starts. They invest for 5 years, see modest returns, and get discouraged. They pull their money out to chase something more exciting. They never give compounding enough time to do what compounding does. The wealthy stay in the game long enough to see the exponential curve. They don't interrupt compounding. They don't panic during downturns. They don't chase the next hot thing. They just keep feeding the machine and let time work. Let's pause here. We've covered the wealth illusion, the 3 phases of real wealth building, and the true power of compounding over time. Now let's talk about what you actually need to do to make this work. Because understanding the theory is useless without the practical execution. The next section gives you the actual mechanics of building wealth in the real world. Mechanic 1. Increase your earning capacity. Your ability to generate income is your most valuable asset, especially in the early years. Invest in skills that the market values. Position yourself in industries with high ceilings. Become excellent at something people will pay premium prices for. The difference between earning $50,000 and $150,000 a year is often just a few strategic skill investments and positioning decisions. That difference, invested over 20 years, is the difference between modest wealth and serious wealth. Don't underestimate the power of increasing your income. Every additional dollar you earn is a dollar that can be deployed into assets. Every skill you develop is a multiplier on your time. Every positioning decision is an investment in your future earnings. The wealthy obsess over increasing their earning capacity, especially early in their journey. They know that a higher income accelerates every other phase of wealth building. Mechanic 2 is where most people fail, completely. Mechanic 2. Maintain lifestyle discipline. As your income grows, your lifestyle must grow slower. This is the hardest part for most people. You finally have money, and the temptation to spend it is overwhelming. But the wealthy understand that the gap between income and spending is the fuel for wealth. They increase their lifestyle only after they've increased their investments. They enjoy upgrades, but never at the expense of accumulation. Quick note: if you want to go deeper on these mechanics with a community that's actually implementing them, our channel membership is built for exactly that. Members get exclusive breakdowns of wealth-building strategies, implementation guides, and connection with others who are serious about the long game. Hit the join button below if you're ready to build wealth with intention. Now let's finish with mechanics 3 and 4. Mechanic 3. Deploy capital consistently. The money you don't spend needs to go somewhere that grows. Not a savings account earning nothing. Not sitting in your checking account. deployed into assets that appreciate or generate returns. This means having a system for regularly moving money into investments. Not when you feel like it, not when you remember, automatically, every month, every paycheck without exception. The wealthy don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. Mechanic 4 is the one that accelerates everything. Protect what you build. Wealth can be destroyed much faster than it can be created. One bad investment, one lawsuit, one health crisis without insurance, one divorce without planning. The wealthy protect their assets with insurance, legal structures, diversification, and careful risk management. They understand that building is only half the game. The other half is keeping what you've built. Think of protection as the defensive side of wealth building. Offense gets all the glory, but defense wins championships. What good is building a portfolio if one lawsuit can wipe it out? What good is accumulating assets if one bad decision can destroy decades of work? The wealthy think about protection from day one. They don't wait until they have something to lose. They build the walls while they're building the castle. These 4 mechanics work together as a system. Increase earnings, control lifestyle, deploy capital, protect assets. Execute all 4 consistently over decades, and wealth becomes inevitable. It's not exciting, it's not fast, but it works every single time. Now you understand how wealth is actually built. So why do most people miss it? Why do they spend their lives chasing shortcuts instead of following the proven path? There are 3 reasons, and they're all connected. Reason 1. The timeline is psychologically brutal. Humans are wired for immediate gratification. Waiting 20 years for compounding to really work feels like torture. So people look for faster options that don't exist, wasting years chasing mirages. Reason 2. The process is boring. Saving consistently, investing regularly, living below your means. None of this is exciting. It doesn't make good content. It doesn't impress people at parties. So people gravitate toward exciting strategies that don't work, instead of boring strategies that do. Reason 3. Nobody celebrates the middle. You see people at the beginning, full of hope and plans. You see people at the end, wealthy and successful. You never see the 15 years in the middle, where nothing seems to be happening. That invisible middle is where wealth is actually built. Think about every successful person you know. They all have a middle. Years where it looked like nothing was happening. Years where they questioned if it was worth it. Years where they could have quit and no one would have blamed them. But they didn't quit. They stayed in the middle. They kept executing when no one was watching. And the middle eventually turned into the end they were working toward. The people who build wealth are willing to endure the boring middle. They're willing to do the same thing month after month, year after year, with no recognition, no applause, no instant results. And then one day, they wake up wealthy while everyone else is still searching for shortcuts. You now know more about how wealth is actually built than most people will ever understand. You know the 3 phases. You know the 4 mechanics. You know why most people fail. But knowledge means nothing without action. The question is what you'll do with this understanding. You can keep doing what you've been doing, chasing the next opportunity, looking for faster paths, hoping something will click. And in 20 years, you'll be in roughly the same place, wondering where the time went. Or you can start the real process today. Maximize your earning, control your lifestyle, deploy capital consistently, protect what you build. Accept that this will take time, and in 20 years, you'll have something real to show for it. The choice seems obvious when you lay it out like this, but making that choice is harder than it sounds. It means saying no to things you want now. It means being patient when you want instant results. It means trusting a process that takes years to prove itself. It means being different from almost everyone around you. That's the real cost of building wealth. Not the money you invest. The patience you must maintain. The discipline you must develop. The delayed gratification you must embrace. Wealth is not built through brilliant moves. It's built through consistent execution over extended time. The magic isn't in the strategy. The magic is in the patience to let the strategy work. Everyone wants the destination. Almost no one wants the journey. And that's exactly why the destination remains available for those willing to take the journey. The process is simple. The execution is hard, not because it's complicated, but because it's boring. Your ability to embrace that boredom is the single greatest predictor of your financial future. This is how wealth is actually built. Now go build it.